Hello everyone, my name is Alex.
And I'm Robert.
And we are your Mugiwara Authority, your source for all things One Piece and One Piece related. We need a new tagline. Now,
what do we want to call it? Do we just want to say...
You know what, maybe we'll talk about it during the podcast. Let's figure it out.
Okay.
Anyway, the date is August 6th, and chapter 756, level 4 just came out. And we didn't talk about last week's chapter either, because I was sick, unfortunately. So 755, Man's World, we'll get to that also. And also, happy 17th anniversary to One Piece.
Happy birthday!
You are almost legal to...
Smoke.
Woo!
Oh, actually,
One
did you
Piece.
hear about that? They're thinking of raising the age?
I did hear about that, actually, yeah.
What is it, to 21 or something?
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a rumor or not. I actually heard they were thinking about raising the drinking age also.
Drinking age up to 25, smoking age up to 21.
Yeah, so...
Poor soldiers.
So, okay, what should our tagline be then? Your source for all things One Piece. And also... whatever.
Your source for all things One Piece and everything?
We gotta figure it out, man.
I know.
I feel like I keep pushing it back, and then we keep doing podcasts, and it's just the same. Anyway, these last two chapters, what did you think of them, Robert? Go ahead a little bit.
I actually thought they were somewhat enjoyable. They weren't, like, mind-blowing chapters, but we got to see, like, more of Frankie's...
Yeah, Frankie's antics in the first chapter of the 755. They were really funny.
Yeah. So there was that. There was we get it. It's revealed that the Tontata princess is not being held in the factory, but is in fact held in the castle, I believe.
Do you think Viola's power is a little broken?
A little bit
A
now.
little bit, yeah.
Like
it's kind of crazy.
Like. Originally, I thought it was just like she could see into people's hearts or something like that, so she could tell what people were thinking. But I thought
because that's what she did to Sanji.
Yeah, but I thought she had to be like within their vicinity in order to do that. I didn't realize that she could search for someone's location.
You know, that's kind of fascinating because last podcast we talked about how of the X-Men traits that aren't shown in One Piece, the one that is noticeable is like Xavier's, like the mental thing. But she kind of does that.
She's doing that right now. She's basically using Cerebro without Cerebro.
Neither of us really mentioned that. We talked about hockey, but we didn't talk about her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt like reading this is like, oh, she's kind of broken. Like, that's really crazy.
Because now she can find anyone anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly. It's Cerebro without actually needing Cerebro.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So her power just kind of went from like, okay, this is a decent power, to suddenly it's off the charts.
Well, explain exactly what she did, because if I'm being totally honest, I just read the new chapter right now, and I'm fucking tired and sick still, so I feel like I haven't absorbed everything yet.
She basically did what Xavier does when he puts on Cerebro. She entered kind of like a trance-like state and was searching for the princess.
Okay.
Well, the Tontata princess.
Yeah.
Queen? Princess?
I feel like they said princess.
Whatever. Whatever the title is. She was looking for her, and she was basically just searching, like, area to area, person to person.
Yeah. I feel like these last two chapters have also set up more fights. So we have Robin, and she's going to be taking on Gladius. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Is it Robin and Bartolomeo? You think together they're going to take on Gladius?
I think it's... Actually, no, because Bartolomeo... Actually, I don't know, because both Robin and Bartolomeo met up with Luffy and them.
Mm-hmm. But then it looked like she said, "Oh, go meet up with Rebecca so she could give you the key for Law's handcuffs, and I'll stay here and take on Gladius." That's what it felt like.
Well, she said, who was it that she told to go? She told Luffy, Soldier, and I guess she did tell Bartolomeo to go with them.
She told Bartolomeo.
Yeah, because...
I'm not sure. I think she might have told, I think they said, like, Trafalgar, you know?
Could have been, it could have been Torao.
Yeah.
So she told them, which would leave Cavendish and Bartolomeo there, too.
True.
So it's possible that they might help her out.
And, I mean, Cavendish's horse's head just got crushed by one of those giant toy things. They might be toys now. We're right. Like, those could be toys, because Sugar's awake.
They are toys.
So, in fact, they are toys.
Yeah, because...
well, before we were confused, kind of. Like, well, what the hell are they? They're not toys. Sugar's awake.
we were trying to figure out what they were, but in this week's chapter, it was revealed that, they are toys. Sugar's awake, and she's got, like, a phobia of long nose.
Yeah.
She's got, like, long nose phobia or something like that.
Yeah.
So, she got, like, super pissed off that he wouldn't get away and turned him into one of those skeleton things.
Okay.
Which, that was something that we were pointing out, that it's weird that they all look the same. But it's kind of fitting if we look at it as a result of her phobia that was developed by her encounter with friggin' Usopp.
Well, does that mean she made all those toys after that encounter? Does that make it... Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so all of her new toys just happened to look like that.
Yeah. All of her new toys look like that, and from what my assumption is...
How long was she even out then? Like, was she out for a couple hours in the One Piece world time?
Yeah. She was out for a little while, but, like they said... I read the Manga Panda translation, and in that translation it says that she woke herself up. I'm not entirely sure if that's the actual translation, but that's what they said.
Okay, well, I mean,
but
when you pass out, you wake up,
yeah.
So it's not really unusual.
It's kind of funny because Usopp was talking about that too. He's like, and she should have been out for like 2 or 3 days.
I think that's just Usopp talking shit, though.
It could be, yeah.
It's just him, puffing up his chest because he's Usopp.
Could be. Poor Usopp. But yeah, my assumption is that all of the people that were turned into toys had some kind of long nose thing or something that reminded her of Usopp.
Okay.
Because she just instantly turned that guy into a toy, and he was just bleh, and he looked exactly like him.
They seem of a different breed than the other toys, though. They seem violent by nature, almost like mindless and violent. They're just attacking.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's almost fitting if it's a result of her phobia, because she's just kind of like acting out of rage, turning them into toys. She's not just like...
And I feel like the old toys, they kind of went out of their way to show, like, they're just toys. Like, they're kind of helpless. Like, they're only as strong as toys are. Well, where these toys, we're seeing both Cavendish and Luffy fucking the toy up, but it's just reviving like a zombie.
Yeah.
So they're definitely different types of toys. Because, again, like a soldier, one-legged soldier, like, they went out of their way to say, like, I rust, I break down.
Yeah.
These toys, it's like the opposite. Like, oh, they're hard to keep down because for whatever reason, like Luffy's literally punching a hole through it, and
he punched a hole through one's chest. Cavendish cut one's head off.
Yeah, and it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, so that's scary.
That was pretty brutal. How to fucking crush that horse's skull.
I know, dude.
Jesus.
I'm just like, what?
Cavendish was like, his skull's crushed. Hang in there. Like, what? Hang in there. Jesus.
My thought the entire time that was going on was, man, Oda really hates animals, doesn't he?
I know. It's just
first Uzi, and then
yeah, he's like,
oh man,
this is a bad arc for animals. Don't be a friendly animal at fucking Dressrosa. You're gonna get messed up.
I guess it's lucky that Chopper's not there.
Yeah.
Oh man, he would get so messed up.
So what have we missed? I'm sure we missed a lot. Talking.
Well, we can go like a little bit by bit if we want.
Okay. Well, we got a new color spread for this most recent chapter, and it's really cool. I mean,
yeah.
I'm happy that we got a new color spread, and I'm sure it's just sort of a 17th anniversary thing for One Piece. It's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, there's the title page from last chapter. It just says Dawn, and then it says something about the village disappearing or something.
I don't know. Here, let me go back and look.
Like that kind of threw me off, and I was like, I was hoping to see what happens with that, but we didn't get a title page this week because of the color spread. I believe it's because of the color spread.
Yeah, you're right. It says, something's happening, see, the town's disappearing, see. And it's just them seeing nothing, really. It's
just them kind of looking, there's like, what is it, like smoke underwater?
I don't think it's smoke. I think those are just like it's just the ground.
So kind of like the rock formations and all that.
Yeah.
It was funny because I saw the word dawn being used as the sound effect, and my immediate thought was Tom.
Do it with a dawn.
I was like, is he alive?
He could be alive.
Who knows?
The thing. We never saw him die, so it's possible.
That would be weird. That would be crazy.
It would be crazy. I don't know, I always thought that was a little oddly anticlimactic. We didn't get like solid evidence dead.
I kind of like that it was left ambiguous, though.
But then nothing ever became it, so why? Like, to what end? I mean,
well,
maybe something can become of it.
The implication is that he was executed.
Yeah.
And that's really all we needed to get from that, to get the back...
They were just taking him to Enies Lobby, right? That's all. Which, at the time, they were saying nobody returns from Enies Lobby.
Yeah. But
as we know now, a lot of people get stationed there and then get sent away to Impel Down.
True, but he was he was going there for execution. It wasn't just like he's going there to be arrested. He was going to be executed because of his affiliation with Roger.
Yeah.
As the creator of the Oro Jackson.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Which he was proud of.
He was.
Yeah. So,
Speaking of that, going back to Frankie, what was up with that entire interaction?
It was very strange. I feel like Oda introduced a character just so they could show off how cool Frankie and Senor Pink are around.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved that about that chapter. It was really fun. Just their interactions are hilarious.
It was just like, they're so hard-boiled. like Senor Pink's fangirls were fangirling over Frankie as well.
Yeah. It was really good.
Like, it makes me feel bad for Sanji, who, like, gets no love. Except for from Viola.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Viola, and I guess the girls on Fishman Island. I mean, it's not like he hasn't gotten any love.
Well, he kind of turned his stone around them. I don't think he'll survive another encounter with mermaids.
No, that's not true. I mean, after he got that, the injection from the homosexual blood, which was a really weird plot device. Did you forget that?
He's got those fangirls.
Yeah, it kept him under control. So
poor Frankie, or not Frankie, Sanji. Poor Sanji.
Whatever, man. Fuck Sanji. I love Sanji, but whatever. It's cool. It's cool to see. Like, that's what the funny thing about Frankie is, that he's presented as such a pervert, but he's not that pervy. Like, compared to Sanji, who's a way bigger pervert, and Baruch. Like, a lot of the guys are more pervy. He just wears a Speedo.
You kind of just named the two, the two big ones.
Yeah, but Usopp is close. Even Usopp's kind of more pervy than Frankie.
He is, but he's a little bit less, like...
Oh yeah, he's less.
Intentionally
for sure,
pervy.
Yeah.
He's more like...
It's not even close, really.
He's more like he's kind of pervy just by circumstance. Like, what was that in... Like, Thriller Bark. I
think he's just more normal, honestly. Like... Guys are pervy around pretty girls and shit. We just are. So I think.
Well, I mean, remember Thriller Bark? That's basically the main instance that comes to mind.
When he goes into the shower?
Because Nami's being attacked or whatever, and then he sees her and he's just like, "Thank you."
but blame him. You know what I mean? Fucking blame him. Big deal. He's a 17-year-old kid.
I'm not blaming him.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Is he 17?
He was.
I thought he was 18.
I think no, he's the same age as Luffy, so he was 17.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was 17 at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, is it pervy? Yes, but also it's normal. That's normal.
Whereas Sanji is kind of like...
would like do anything to creep on them. Like, he would have a devil fruit power solely about that.
They made a joke about that, actually.
Yeah, they did.
They made a joke about that in
the clairvoyants, right?
Yeah. It's like,
Sanji would love to have that power. These have been very Tontada heavy chapters too. When I look at it,
yeah,
not in a bad way. Too.
I like the old Tontada captain.
Yeah, I like how they're all so distinct. Like, I feel like when they were introduced, I felt like I didn't think about them as having personalities.
Like, they felt a little more like
generic,
just kind of
generic Tontada, you know. And now it's like,
but now there's the beetle guy, there's the bee girl, there's the old man. I don't remember any of their names, but then there's Leo.
Yeah, I remember them visually more than anything, and Leo. Yeah, so there's one.
There's the princess queen thing.
So before the podcast started, you were saying something about the vibe you got from Frankie and Senor Pink.
They feel a little like, I want to say like 40s, 50s, like kind of like
greasers, like gangsters. Is that what you're going for?
Kind of like that. They kind of have
kids in a gang.
They kind of have that kind of that male mentality too.
Yeah. Okay. So like it's very manly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in chapter 755, we're introduced to Qin. Is that how you say it?
I can't... Oh, Qin? Yeah,
Qin.
Something like that.
She's the 20-year-old factory boss, and this bitch is huge. She's
got a freaking giant vacuum on her.
When Frankie's hugging her, he's like half her size. Like, did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's huge. Frankie's big. Look how big she is.
Man, that's crazy. But that kind of goes towards our discussion in previous podcasts about how it's weird that Oda has all these kind of generic looking female characters.
Well, look, she isn't. She's very
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I feel like her whole reason for being in the arc so far has been to get suplexed into Senor Pink and then to fall for Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But who knows? We were just introduced to her. She could have more of a role later on.
She could develop. She's got a cool look. I really like her look. Like. She feels like a factory boss. Like, oh, she she could be a part of this arc. Like, she could be something Frankie has to get over, like, to fight. I could see it, you know? I feel like these chapters have been leading up to fights for so long, almost.
I kind of feel like if Frankie ends up fighting her, it's going to be kind of like a gender reversal version of Sanji's fight against, what's her name from Enies Lobby?
Khalifa?
Yeah. I see that happening.
Yeah, I honestly not even sure if they're gonna fight anymore.
I don't think they will.
I don't like when she's introduced is when it feels like, oh, they're gonna fight. But then
and then suddenly he's just like,
yeah,
kiss.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Pulls her in for a kiss or whatever just to shut her up.
Senor Pink though, that's gonna go down for sure. Like, we're really gonna get. I think we're gonna get that Senor Pink Frankie fight finally, which is gonna be awesome.
Finally,
yeah, it's gonna be great.
We get a little snippet of Zoro versus Pika again, to not this chapter but the chapter before.
Well, more than a little snippet. Didn't that chapter end on Zoro like cutting the giant?
No, that
stone?
was 54.
Okay, so that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was because he got random power from seeing Rebecca.
Yeah, and who wouldn't? That's kind of an inside joke between us. But anyway, what we think happened there was that Rebecca was like floating over them, and he got to see some stuff. You know, you got to see.
It happens. It's not like she's wearing anything under that thing.
Is Robin? I mean, okay, she might be wearing.
She
panties.
might be,
but even if it's panties,
that's still.
That's the thing, though. It doesn't. It's not in Zoro's character, but why not? You know.
I know.
Or maybe he's into Rebecca. Maybe I could see her being his type. She's a gladiator girl.
Yeah, swordswoman. Hey.
Yeah, you might find that hot.
He might.
Yeah. Tashigi who?
Well, he doesn't. It's less that he finds her attractive and more that he finds her look annoying.
Tashigi, yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, why the hell do you look so much like her?
And we're nothing more than heartbreakers. These two, Senor Pink and Frankie, are hilarious. Like, they're like a buddy cop duo. I just want to see them hang out. Like, they'll fight and they'll make up and it'll be awesome.
Dude, that would actually be funny. A little side story of them as like police officers.
That would be great.
Like Chips or something.
The way this page ends, where they're like gonna fight each other, it ends with Senor Pink saying "diaper bomb"
and nipple light special.
What the hell? It's got to be one of the stupidest fights in One Piece, in a good way.
It's gonna be amazing, though.
Yeah. Okay, so we do get a little bit more of Zoro and Pika.
And it's basically just Zoro threatening Pika, saying that he's not gonna leave.
Yeah.
Bartolomeo, like, fanboying over
Constant,
Zoro.
Yeah, Zoro's so cool. Zoro senpai.
Oh, man.
I feel like these have been two really solid chapters. Like, I enjoyed them both. I don't think either really blew me away, but not.
It's weird. I almost felt like we were gonna get a flashback at the end of 755, and then we
what's her name?
didn't.
What's the princess's name?
Go back real quick. Isn't it like Moncherry?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Moncher or something. I forget exactly, but
what was Leo's actual relationship
like
with her? It seems like it's.
Oh, we don't know, because like I said, it felt like we were going to get a small snippet of a flashback there that would show their relationship.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's only implied that they might have some kind of.
I think it's heavily implied. Like they know each other at least.
Well, I mean, like it feels like it's implied that they have somewhat of a romantic relationship. Similar to Kairos and God damn it! What was her name?
Rebecca's mom.
Yeah, Rebecca's mom.
Damn it! I feel like they just said it in this.
They did in this one. God, but yeah, I feel like it's similar to that in that respect. Where Leo's a warrior and she's of royalty.
So where is the Tontada princess?
She's in the castle in some punishment cell, which is what they mentioned before. There was a little bit of a flashback, I believe, in this chapter that shows Rebecca's mom and Viola talking with the Tontada in that area. So it's kind of like an area of importance to the Tontada and Rebecca's mother and aunt. That stupid drawing bird.
I like that they showed the bird get all worn out because
the bird's like dead. He's just like passed out with an X.
No, I mean, it'd be cool. It's cool because then it's like it's a finite gift, you know? It only lasts for so long. I wonder if the better you draw it, the better it does.
Yeah.
Because people were like speculating, like, how is that bird even flying?
It was exhausted
And then
when it got there.
And I love that he's horrible at drawing like ropes and ladders and shit. So
Like-
they look like ass. They just look horrible.
They look horrible. It's funny because, like, they're all trying to climb up there to kill him, but they can't climb it because it's so horribly made.
Yeah, Conjuro's funny, man. He's cool. I like him.
Man. Poor Conjuro. Yeah, Munchery.
Munchery. Or Manchery.
Monchery.
Monchery.
It feels like...
Monchery?
It feels like that,
Yeah.
the French word.
Yeah.
Monchery. So it feels like that.
Which is weird because like the theme of Dressrosa is
like Spain.
Spain, yeah.
Yeah. Huh, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the Tontata are French.
I mean, I could kind of see that actually. If you look at Leo, I believe it.
Hey,
Hey,
we just found another cultural theme.
you're right. Okay, so here's the little flashback.
Yeah, so it's when they used to visit that place, they would get scolded and stuff like that.
So Scarlet was her name that we could.
Scarlet,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was something to do with red.
Yeah.
I was just like, Rose? No, that's not it.
So she had a connection with the Tontata, correct?
Yeah.
That's what's going on here.
Yeah,
That they loved Scarlet.
and then unfortunately things happened. Oh, right, that's how this chapter ends.
Oh,
Rebecca
Diamante.
versus Diamante.
Oh, it's gonna be.
And since King Riku, Luffy, and Law, since they're all heading up there, we might be getting our clash of Soldier versus Diamante.
Yeah, I can see that. It's gonna be awesome.
That is going to be awesome.
So what really happens here? So they're floating. We have Rebecca, Robin, and Bartolomeo.
Oh, Gladius.
I know he uses his power, but
Yeah, he uses his power to make bombs that he throws at the beetles.
Okay,
They hit the. It doesn't hit Rebecca or Robin or anybody. It hits the beetles.
I see.
Yeah, see, there's the
Okay, yeah,
Hercules beetle Tontata who points out that it's the Pamu Pamu. And there's Gladius. You'd think he might be able to turn her arms into bombs.
I feel like we don't really fully understand his power yet, almost.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it. I feel like we've talked about this before, how One Piece powers, the later we've gone, the more kind of weird they've gotten. Like, we need to... I still don't really understand Viola's entirely, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, what...
I think the thing that's more confusing about Gladius' ability is that it's very similar to Mr. Five's.
It is similar.
Which is why it's a little bit harder to get a grasp on, like, what it can do.
What happened to Kimon? Why does he... I notice this each time, but why does he have... Like, why is he beat up here?
Oh, Usopp beat them up. Usopp beat up Kinemon and Kanjuro for making the rope ladder that the enemies could climb up to. So he pulled the Nami.
Okay.
He pulled a Nami, basically.
Like, I love Kanjuro's ability, too, like, but where does it end, almost, you know? Like, what could he not create?
Obviously, he's such a horrible drawer
he's a bad
that he
artist.
can't create really anything.
I feel like in the hands of a good artist, that would be an incredibly deadly devil fruit.
It would
But
be.
instead, it's like comedic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then Sugar's awake, and she's pissed. You're right, I didn't even notice she turned the guy into one of those crazy-looking Saul.
Like,
Monkey D. Saul.
I straight up, I had to go
Check.
back and double check because I saw the scene right after this where they're fighting against those puppets, and I was like, wait a minute. Went back, looked, and I was like, oh. So it feels like these are more a result of her rage
They totally look
against
like
Usopp.
Saul, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Jaguar D. Saul.
Oh man.
I thought they were bigger before when we were introduced to them.
Oh yeah, when we first saw them, they looked huge, but at the same time,
They are big, but they're not massive. They're not giant size.
I don't know, but compared to, like, if we're comparing it to, like, Luffy and them or whatever, like, they're still smaller than its head.
Definitely.
They're still smaller
I feel
than the
if
puppet's
if
head.
he was standing straight up, Luffy would probably be to his knee or a little bit above.
Yeah. Like we were saying, they could have been basically giants, But
Well, that's what we thought, but now we kind of know what they are. They're the result of Sugar's most recent transformations.
yeah. So I mean, they're still really, really huge for what we thought.
It is weird that they're uniform too, though. Like, I wonder if we're going to get more of an explanation for why these are such different toys than the other toys.
Well, like that's kind of what my theory is kind of going on about it. That it's
a result of her trauma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like she's kind of she's making sure to make a contract, but it's also like they're kind of like a manifestation of her rage and anger and stuff like that. So they're basically just like her kind of what she views rage as, I guess, for toys or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely weird. I wonder if Mr. 5 died.
No, he didn't. We've seen him in cover stories and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a big cover story where not all, but a lot of the Baroque Works agents kind of got back together.
What was the name of his fruit?
I don't know. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah, because his is the Pamu Pamu.
Okay.
And I was going to say, like, if that's the same thing,
that
would be weird.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, then the chapter just ends with Rebecca facing off with Diamante.
That is
in the fields.
I know this is supposed to be, like, kind of a serious moment in the chapter. Like, it's not supposed to be something, like, that you look at and, like, you're like, oh, this is cool, or this is good, or whatever. It's supposed to be kind of, like, intimidating.
It's supposed to be dramatic, yeah.
Yeah, dramatic and all that stuff. But it's a beautiful panel.
It really is.
Of the sunflower fields with Rebecca standing there and Diamante just looking down at her.
Just looming over her. And he's got that fucking creepy smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like the close-up panels after it are much more intimidating than kind of the larger image.
It feels epic, is what it feels
like.
You know what I mean? It feels like something out of a Kurosawa film. Like, these two have been destined to confront for so long. And truthfully, she doesn't have much of a chance if it's just them two head on.
Well,
I mean, she's good at not fighting. So
she's good at defense.
So Mr. Fives is the Bomu Bomu no Mai.
Bomu Bomu? Okay. So what do they define that one as? Like, okay. So Mr. Five's ability looks like he can turn their body parts into bombs with no harm to the user, and the quality extends to basically body waste, so like breath and snot,
and other things.
We did have that conversation already.
Semen
and shit
and toenails. Why not?
Hey, why not? But it looks like the Pamu, he's literally like explosions, I guess.
How is that different?
I don't know. So let's go back to that real quick, because he can explode himself. He has the same ability where he can explode himself.
Okay, what was it called?
Without Pamu Pamu, yeah.
Let's look it up.
So like he can explode without taking damage, similar to Mr. Five's ability. But Gladius can also, I believe Gladius can also make other things explode. Things that are not part of his body. So their own body or any inorganic object they touch.
So it's basically a better version of the devil fruit. It's the same thing. Like
it's the same thing, but a better version. But like
you could use your body, or you could make it like Gambit and fucking transfer it.
So it's actually kind of like how they made out the Maramara and Akainu's fruits to be, whereas they're kind of similar, but one is better.
But these two are very similar. Like
they're very similar.
They overlap a lot, except
that
Gladius is better. It's a better devil fruit.
Basically Gladius can make other things explode, whereas
as well as his own body.
Yeah, as well as his body. Whereas Mr. Five is limited to his body and his body waste. So,
wait, can Gladius turn his own body into a bomb, or just things he's touching?
He can turn himself into a bomb as well.
Okay, because on the wiki right here it says the ability is very similar to the Bama Bama no Mai, as they are both involve explosions. The main difference is that while Mr. Five is able to turn himself or any part of him into a bomb, Gladius can turn anything else into a bomb, as long as it's an inanimate object.
Well, he has made himself explode.
But how? I've seen him turn like his like what he's wearing into an.
Is it just what he's wearing?
I don't know.
Because I feel like he made his head explode too.
But that could have been his hat. He was wearing a hat that exploded, and then his hair came out.
True. So then maybe that's the big difference.
But even in the start of this wiki page, it says.
It says it right there.
It's a devil fruit that allows the user to cause their own body or any inorganic object they touch to rupture and explode. So I feel like even the wiki doesn't really know. Like, is he doing it to his own body, or is it just?
I feel like he can make himself explode because we have this image of his arms exploding right here. Like, is that just him making his clothing explode, or is that literally his arms?
I don't know.
Or at the walls.
It's just a ill-defined devil fruit still at this point, I think.
Yeah.
We know it has a lot to do with explosions. that's
Things blow up.
That's the vague outline, but it's sort of not super well defined. And I feel like, again, that's sort of the theme for devil fruits as the years have gone on, that they've been harder to give solid lines to.
Well, it's definitely the theme of devil fruits in this arc. Because we have Doflamingo's fruit that's very ill-defined. You know, it's the string. He has a string fruit, but it acts like a Logia, and he can make clones.
Well, how does it act like a Logia? He's not. It's not like his own body is transforming. He can make clones.
Well, like
if that was his body, then yes. It
would
act like a Logia.
Like, it's weird. Like, when his ability was first revealed, I thought it was like he could turn clouds into string, and that's what he was doing.
Okay.
Like, that's kind of how they defined it, because he was using the clouds to kind of fly.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, oh, he has a string clone, but that's the string that his clone was made of didn't seem to be made of cloud. So there's confusion there. And then we have this thing where his clone is acting independent of the main body. And it's weird. It's just weird. His ability is weird.
And aside from that, we've seen him control people at Marijoa. We've seen him take off Orz's leg at Marineford. We've seen Birdcage, of course.
So it's just like, it's really, really...
I feel like it's all sort of within the same genre of his ability, though. I do think what he's doing, it's not like outlandish. It's just creative.
No, I know.
I feel the theme in One Piece has always been the more creative you could be with your devil fruit, the stronger your devil fruit will be.
Yeah, but I guess my whole thing is like, is he, for like Birdcage and for like controlling people and like doing all this stuff, is he using the clouds, or is he using just random bits of string that he's creating out of like thin air?
You see it kind of come out of his hand sometimes in some panels,
which is also what's confusing me.
His fingertips, you know.
So like, is he creating this string?
I think he is. Or you know what? Those could have been his clones. So maybe they're just already made of string.
Could be.
So I assume that, I think back to those panels, and maybe that was Doflamingo, but maybe those were just his clones.
It could be.
Fighting Sanji or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
That could have not been Doflamingo at all.
So I think for his ability, we kind of need a little bit more of, like, a definition as well. Think we could look that up as well?
Yeah, we can look it up. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you know the actual name of the devil fruit?
No, I just know it's a string fruit.
Okay, whatever, look it up.
Then we have Viola's power, which is, like, suddenly, like, oh, I can see everybody, wherever they are. As opposed to being able to see, like, their innermost thoughts or something like that. So it's kind of, like, expanded and then made it a little bit more vague. There's that confusion about how...
I feel like there's Baby 5, and, like, what extent could she really take her devil fruit to?
Yeah, that's who I was about to bring up.
Really?
Like,
and Caesar also. I think Caesar Clown is like, well, what could he do? What's the extent that he could make a vacuum around himself? Like, what can he do?
I think they already showed the limit that he has for that. Because Luffy stretched his head out, and that was basically as far as Caesar could make the vacuum.
I'm still looking for it.
Okay. Would it be here off to the side?
I feel like it would be.
Scroll down real quick.
I'm trying.
Huh.
Oh, down here.
Devil fruit right there.
Yep, the Ito no Mai.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah.
Ito.
Or the string fruit.
Yep. Who else? We have that weird propeller guy. His ability kind of is well defined.
He just is able to make his body
into propellers.
Yeah.
We're kind of lame.
I mean, it's okay.
We have that other.
Mr. Des Bones, Mr. One could kind of do that, but with blades and shit. Like he could make his body rotate.
He can, yeah.
Yeah, it turned like saws.
But like you wouldn't think to do that with a body that is just blades or something like that. So that's a little bit more creative on his part. Whereas that is basically the definition of a propeller man.
I think his name is Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. The wiki page for the Ito Ito no Mai.
Paramecia type, so it's not a Logia.
So he can create and manipulate strings. That's what it says.
So okay, so it's saying he can create and manipulate them. So okay. But again, like we were saying, we don't know if that's really true or not because we're not sure if that was his clones or if.
But honestly, I would assume that he could create string. Like I think it'd be weird if he couldn't.
Yeah. I guess it'd be similar to
like in One Piece, the limits aren't defined that well sometimes. Like how much sand can Crocodile really create? Well, you know what I mean? Well, it's a lot.
Well, Logias, we assume that they can create like infinite amounts. Yeah, that's kind of the assumption.
Yeah. So, well, then even for Paramecia, the number's still pretty big. Like how much wax can Mr. 3 create? A lot. You can create a lot of wax.
Create a lot, but I think after a while he gets drained.
Well, and I'm sure that's even true for Doflamingo, but I mean, I'm sure his threshold is much higher than Mr. 3's. Much higher, but...
Poor Mr. 3.
He's been useful several times.
I feel like Doflamingo's ability might be a little similar to Basil Hawkins.
Okay. How so?
You know how Basil kind of turns his body into like basically like voodoo dolls, straw dolls?
Yeah.
And then he kind of creates them, those are like his lives?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Well, not so much the part that he can create, like, make himself into string or whatever, but kind of like he creates string in the same way that he creates those straw dolls.
Okay, so they kind of just like come out of his body. Like I remember Basil. I remember how they were just sort of like they were coming out of his back and his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird one that kind of walks the line between Paramecia and
Logia. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like his body literally is becoming that. It's just a solid object. So for like Aokiji, like he's one of the only tangible Logias because all he's doing is becoming ice, which is a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you punch him and he's turning into ice, you're still punching him.
Well, you're punching the ice, but he's still not feeling damage because he can just
regenerate the ice.
Yeah, he just restructures himself from the broken ice.
But it's different than fire or lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
It's a little more similar. Well, I was going to say it's a little similar to Caribou.
Swamp?
Yeah, because it's still tangible, but at the same time, that's different because it's a liquid.
Yeah, it's a liquid, which is different than a gas.
Yeah.
What would lightning be? Is it plasma? Like what?
It's plasma. Yeah, it's like energy.
Yeah.
It's one of those like fourth element type things.
Of course, swamp is tangible, but I guess I mean solid. Like for like ice it's solidified.
Yeah.
By its very nature, by its like definition.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
And I guess Blackbeard's sort of in a weird area of that. You know, darkness is very ambiguous. So it's sort of is it gravity? Like what is he exactly? It's weird.
Yeah, so we don't really know, but like he's...
I guess of the same token, so is Kizaru, because, you know, they're kind of the yin to each other's yang.
But he very much has, like...
He seems like light particles, you know?
Yeah, he very much has kind of like the same effect as, like, say, Ace with the Maramara or...
Oh, I agree, yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, you punch him, you're still gonna go through him...
Like, Oda went out of his way. He got shot.
Yeah.
And it didn't do anything. Where I think if you shoot Blackbeard, it would probably hurt.
He even said himself, like, it's different from other Logias in that he can't, like, resist damage in
it
that
magnifies.
way.
It magnifies the damage.
It's amplified completely.
Okay, so those are the 2 chapters, I think. We pretty much covered the 2, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm happy with that. Anything you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about Blackbeard a little bit.
Okay, well, what about Blackbeard? Marshall D. Teach.
It was something that I was thinking about his ability. Like, his ability is darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like to think, space is, in a vacuum or whatever, darkness, space or whatever, that would be, like, considered nothing.
It's dark matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like, we know now that, like, basically there's no such thing as nothing.
Yeah.
That even in what seems to be nothing, there's something. But, like, if Blackbeard's ability is nothing, like darkness or whatever, because, like, I believe he says something along the lines of, like, darkness that returns everything to nothing, to nothingness, and the power of darkness that returns everything to nothingness, and the power of quakes that destroys everything. Like, those are the main 2 abilities that he has. So if we look at darkness as, like, nothing, then it kind of makes sense that his ability is different and he can't become darkness, because then he would become nothing and cease to exist.
We mentioned gravity also, and I thought it maybe had more to do with gravity before, because I remember him saying something about gravity, but then that was before Fujitora was introduced. Fujitori's ability is literally gravity.
Yeah.
So I just feel like the darkness route has a lot of facets to it.
Well, I think that's why it's... I just think that's why it's different. Like, if he literally became nothing, then how could he reform and become something again?
Okay. So, like, if you let it entirely take him over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
whereas Enel could become lightning and reform as Enel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where, like, compared to that, if he became nothing, then he could, for whatever reason, it feels like he wouldn't be able to become something again.
Okay.
So, like, that's kind of my take on how the Darkness Fruit's different from other Logias.
Like, he can't go full on.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's different in a lot of ways, honestly. Like, it seems ill-defined, but in a good way. It's like in a potential way. Almost like Blackbeard himself doesn't know the boundaries to his own power. And it's almost like it works theoretically in a lot of ways. Like, can he take another Devil Fruit? Well, now we know he can. Can he take multiple Devil Fruits? Yeah, now we know he can. Like, can he maintain all those Devil Fruits? I don't know yet. Like, we're kind of just still learning more as he learns his own power. I kind of think it's fascinating, his parallel with Luffy.
Who's also learning about his own abilities.
We get like, moments with Blackbeard, but I feel kind of like this journey that we're on with Luffy, it's also kind of this journey that we've been on with Blackbeard. When we're introduced to him, you could tell, like, what he's wearing is very, like, casual and just sort of like, you know what I mean?
It's very rags.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you would expect to see of somebody at a bar, you know? Like,
yeah.
It was Mocktown, so, like, in that environment. He looked very usual, but as we've seen him progress, his beard has gotten bigger, and his clothes
have become more and more like pirate regalia and stuff like that.
More lavish. And
yeah.
I mean, he's become to a T what we think of when we think of
a pirate.
A pirate, yes. He's the cliched pirate in the series. So we're kind of going on a journey with Blackbeard as well. His rise to power. His rise from a pirate literally with no bounty to being a Shichibukai, to being a Yonko. And then
so basically
beyond.
Yeah, it's weird too when you think about it, because it's almost like we have Luffy who's going on this journey, but he's going straight from pirate to King of the Pirates. Like, that's his path. He's taking kind of a direct path.
Well, I mean, I guess you could pick the Supernova or the powerful rookie
as
under his wing. You could say that those are labels he's grasped throughout his time.
True, but I mean, like, it feels less intentional, whereas, like, Blackbeard's literally going and taking steps. He's hitting checkpoints.
Yeah.
And just...
like, it's all part of a master plan.
Yeah.
Luffy didn't really plan this shit beyond be King of the Pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see the parallel between the two.
And how different they are.
Yeah.
And how you would expect... I don't know. Blackbeard doesn't seem like the planner, but he is. He's the planner. He's
got a pretty big plan. We don't know everything about it, but...
Well, we know that he did all those things that he did just to get into Impel Down to get his crew. We know that he waited for Whitebeard to be on his deathbed to steal his devil fruit. Like, we know all these things.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive so far.
He's very shrewd.
Yeah, he's
when
shrewd.
He wants to be.
Yeah. I would say so. And it's funny because he doesn't have that air. He's not.
He doesn't.
He's not like Kuro.
He's kind of
got
like
Kuro, the man with 1,000 plans. Yeah, I buy it by looking at him.
He kind of has a Luffy air
does.
about him. But it's like Luffy if he would have thought things through.
so not Luffy at all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how similar and how different those two characters are. He's going to be a brilliant villain. So far, he's very good.
I kind of want to talk about like our end theory a little bit.
Have we mentioned that on the podcast before?
I think we've talked a little bit about it, but we haven't like defined it really.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Like, kind of like, it's weird. Like we kind of know a little bit about what might end up happening. Like, there's this idea of a war that'll encompass the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, who said it basically plain as day? Was it Whitebeard?
I feel like it was Whitebeard.
Okay.
But, I was reading, Alabasta prior to this, and, what was it? I think it was Smoker? Or Crocodile said something like this. Smoker or Crocodile said something along those lines about the events in Alabasta. Where those events...
like those will change the world.
Yeah.
I think that was Smoker.
Yeah, he says something about the potential to start a war that could engulf the world.
Yeah.
So it's been alluded to since fairly early on in the series that there's going to be a massive war.
Yeah.
But for all we know, it could have...
You know, I remember. Okay, it was Smoker. He was talking to Shigi, and he said,
Yeah.
Shigi, pay very close attention, because the events here will shape the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Smoker knew.
Yeah, Smoker knows.
Smoker knows what's going on.
And Crocodile's out there right now.
Well, speaking of Shrewd, I think Smoker, he seems very much like the character who has his finger on the pulse of what's going on in the One Piece world.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he keeps his eye very closely on the profound and prolific pirates of the day, and also he seems to be working in the back with the Marines. So, like, he really kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe he's getting surpassed in terms of power, because he hasn't been super relevant as far as physically in a little while, but all the same, I think mentally he's that character that is still very on the ball.
And we made a kind of a parallel between Smoker and Garp, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I made that up, but I've definitely heard people compare Smoker to being Luffy's Garp, where, compared to Roger. So
yeah.
So Smoker is to Luffy what Garp was to Roger. But people also say that about Kobe. So
I feel that a little bit more, but I see Kobe.
But has Kobe done? What has he done?
He hasn't.
He hasn't been chasing him down. He hasn't cornered him.
Yeah.
Their relationship doesn't seem to be very similar. I mean, Luffy one-shotted
him
at Marineford.
I think what happened was we were talking about this in one of the podcasts that got deleted.
Okay.
It was brought up that people were saying that Kobe feels like Garp. Like Kobe to Luffy feels like Garp to
Roger.
Roger, yeah. But we were like, but we both kind of agreed that Smoker felt more.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
like
he's been on his tail since Roguetown. It's been a long time. That was like volume 12.
Yeah.
It's a long time. And they've only encountered each other a handful of times, but still, all the same,
Both those times,
Smoker changed his whole life just because he came in contact with Luffy.
Basically, he's currently at, what is it, G1?
G1, yeah.
He's
in the New World.
In the New World,
that's way different than Roguetown and East Blue.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. And he's been promoted a lot. I mean, he's probably gained a lot of power as well. I mean, he seems stronger. He still can't keep up with... Well, didn't he give Law a run? Or was it... Oh no, Virgo. He could have fought Virgo.
He held his own against Virgo.
It's just that he didn't have his heart.
But Law took his heart, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I still feel like Smoker's pretty strong. He's just maybe not on par with some of the stronger characters.
Yeah.
Like, Doflamingo took him out pretty quick. But it's fucking Doflamingo. So, what are you going to do?
Oh. I guess, in order to kind of define our endgame theory, we kind of have to look at the past in One Piece a little bit.
Like how far in the past?
Let's talk Void Century.
Okay. What about it?
We've had conversations about this texting, talking, whatever. I kind of feel like the civilization that's existed that existed during that time is kind of the One Piece world's version of Atlantis.
Okay.
In that it was kind of like an advanced civilization or something along those lines that basically crumbled into nothing.
But Atlantis crumbled into the sea.
Yeah.
And there is sea life. There's like sentient sea life in the One Piece world.
Right. But that kind of goes along with what we were thinking about, like Oars' nickname.
Yeah.
The Continent Puller.
Puller.
A result of whatever war or battle happened in the Void Century reshaped the continents and the islands.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of reshaped the structure of the planet itself.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think the One Piece is essentially Pangea for the One Piece world. It is all the islands connected as one. So, yeah.
You know, going into that, all the islands connected as one. We talked about this, I think it was last podcast, about how Luffy's gaining all this clout. Like, he's having all these interactions with nobility and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that statement is a little more symbolic than literal.
Okay. How?
All the islands connected as one or whatever. Kind of like think of what the world government's supposed to be. The world government's supposed to be kind of this conglomeration of multiple heads of state and royalty and stuff like that. So it's basically the world government. But they don't necessarily have control over the entire world. There's islands that are unaffiliated with them and stuff like that. It feels like at the end of the series, as a result of Luffy's actions and maybe others' actions, that all the islands will literally be connected in the sense that they'll all have ties to each other.
Okay, so there's theories out there that by the end of One Piece, the islands will literally be connected. What you're saying is that they won't
figuratively.
They won't literally be connected. They will be figuratively connected under a new kind of banner.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you see Luffy caring about any of that? Like, do you see Luffy like?
I don't see him caring about any of that. I see it being a result of his actions.
Okay.
So something that just happened to happen because he's making friends with all these, like, kings and princesses and stuff like that. So I feel like the nobility would end up coming together because of his ties with them. Like you're an ally, the friend of my friend type deal.
Well, okay. Do you feel like the world government is evil?
I do.
Okay.
I feel like they're kind of like a plague right now.
Okay. I mean, I'm not even saying they aren't evil.
No, yeah.
Because there's definitely been instances of evil and also instances of justice, I think. Like, we've gotten both, which is why I like the world government as a plot device in the One Piece world. It's not simple. It isn't. We've gotten Spanum, and we've gotten what they did on Ohara. We've gotten horrible examples of what's going on there, but I don't think Sengoku is an evil man.
I don't either.
He's not the head anymore, but I don't.
I think we also talked about this too. I don't feel that the Marines are the same as the world government.
Okay.
Like, I see them...
So the Gorosei, then.
Yeah. I see the Gorosei and the entirety of the world government in terms of, like, who's in charge as being the ones that are kind of acting as a plague.
Okay.
Whereas, like, the Marines, they're doing what they believe is just and good and trying to help people. And they're only affiliated with the world government as a means of enforcing the law.
So who defines the world government to you, then?
It would be the Gorosei, the Celestial Dragons, those, like, the nobles, stuff like that.
So what you get from the Gorosei is that they're evil?
What I get from the Gorosei is that they have an agenda.
I totally agree with that, yes. I mean, they're the most powerful men in the world.
And that agenda isn't necessarily good.
But is it necessarily evil, then?
who I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like their agenda is good.
But it also doesn't feel evil to me. Like, I feel like Oda, he illustrates it very clearly when we're introduced to Hody Jones or Crocodile or NL. Oh, here's the villain, here's the bad guy who's doing bad things. When we're introduced to the Gorosei, I don't necessarily feel that. And I don't feel the opposite either. It just doesn't feel like they're evil right away.
Right. But like I was saying, like the result of Luffy's actions could end up uniting all of the islands. It could unite some of the Gorosei. They could turn out to be good. They could actually turn out to be really good people. And the result of Luffy's actions could kind of help them bring about, like, change, like positive change in the world. Like abolishing the nobility or something like that.
Well, there's definitely a plague in terms of the nobility, in terms of the celestial dragons. And there's also a social break between humans and fishmen that I feel like if we get further examples of those types of things, the Tontada are maybe a start.
Yeah.
We're going to get... The world is lacking in peace a little bit. Like, the world is like...
The world's a little chaotic.
The power is all in the hands of these specific types of people, and they're not all together on the same playing field. Yeah. And I feel like by the end of One Piece, it won't be that way anymore. Fishmen will be able to live their lives on the surface if they'd like. There won't be slavery.
I feel like Fishman Island will end up being destroyed.
Probably.
It will be destroyed by Luffy by the end of this to force the fishmen to...
For the better.
It'll be destroyed, but for the better.
I mean, if he literally dragged Fishman Island to the surface, it would destroy it as it was. Yeah. But it would still maybe... like, the homes might exist, but it would just be on the surface. Yeah. So...
But I feel like the island itself would just be destroyed, and that the purpose of the arc was for the mass immigration to the surface. Yeah. So, I see that prophecy coming true.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think that's clear as day. That's going to happen.
And going back kind of to this break between, like, this these kind of cultural issues of, like, racism between fishmen and men, that kind of goes back to part of my endgame theory about the ancient civilization in the Void Century. Okay. It's possible that this Atlantean type of civilization was a fishman civilization. That something happened that caused them to be revealed, that forced the other nations to unite, that forced other governments to unite into the world government and caused them to attack. Which, this kind of idea came about when I was reading the Fishman Island arc, when we got a little bit of information from, Joy Boy? Okay. I believe that's his name.
It is Joy Boy, okay. Yes.
Yeah, when we got that bit of information about Joy Boy apologizing, Joy Boy's apology or whatever. So it's possible, like, originally I thought that Joy Boy could be like a fishman or whatever, or that he was a fishman, but I believe that Joy Boy is actually just a normal person. And I feel like his apology is to the fishmen for something that he did. And if I put that into the context of this Void Century theory, it feels like Joy Boy encountered this ancient Atlantean civilization of fishmen, went back to his kingdom and spoke to it in a manner similar to Mont Blanc cricket.
I was about to make that parallel right there, yeah.
In a manner similar to that, the king, seeing it, the fishman civilization as a threat, seeking help from other island nations and stuff like that, being the foundation of the world government, and then, without Joy Boy being aware, tricked him into leading them to him, leading an envoy, which caused the world government to attack and destroy their civilization. Which, that could kind of help explain some of the prejudice between men and fishmen, and possibly other types of creatures, like the dwarves, the Tontada.
I've thought that was always a weird thing for Mont Blanc cricket to do. Like, I feel like it's never mentioned,
That it was weird that he went back and told them about it?
Yeah, his king is clearly an asshole. He's just a dipshit right
Yeah.
away. And he says, oh, there's these mountains of gold, the city of gold, and let's go find it right now. Like, you know he's probably going to commit genocide when he gets there.
Yeah.
Like, why would, like... It was always, like, the weird storytelling device within that amazing flashback. But it was a little weird. Like, it's tragic that they aren't there, and because they aren't there, Cricket is labeled a liar and executed. But also, what was he expecting to happen once they got there?
I really feel like they would have been executed.
All the Shandians?
All of the Shandians, yeah.
Well, then what the fuck?
I believe that Cricket... Wait. Not Cricket.
Oh, Norland.
Norland,
We're getting
yeah.
this wrong, yeah.
I don't know why we're saying Cricket. Sorry. Mont Blanc, Norland.
Yeah.
I feel like Norland was too trusting, almost.
Maybe.
Of his kingdom.
It's that thing like when you're a liar, you expect people to lie. Well, he was so noble, maybe he expected those around him to be noble as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it feels like might have happened in the Void Century. Where it's like, Joy Boy went back expecting there to be talks of peace and like stuff like that. Like, he may have befriended some fishmen, and he may have brought an envoy, and that's how they spoke about it and stuff, like how they talked, and kings plotting and then destroying, stuff like that. So that's kind of what I feel might have happened in the Void Century. The ancient weapons may have been involved too.
Do you remember we watched a video by this guy, and okay, we'll link it if we could find it. It's a YouTube video, and his reveal was he thinks there's a lot of religious imagery within One Piece.
Yeah.
And he thinks that the ancient civilization was Eden.
Eden?
Was it
right,
Eden?
You did tell me about that.
Yeah.
That he felt like it. There's the whole thing about the tree of Adam that the Sunny is made out of.
Yeah.
And the tree of... What is it? The tree of Eve? The Eve...
Fuck, I feel like I shouldn't have brought this up without all the
well,
knowledge.
no. There's Eve, the tree that's keeping Fishman Island alight.
Light, yeah.
That's giving light to the Fishman Island. And then there was the Tree of Knowledge on O'Hara.
Yeah.
Which the Tree of Knowledge was in the Bible is the tree that held the fruit that God told them not to eat.
Yeah.
Told Adam and Eve not to eat or whatever. And it was the reason for them being expelled from heaven. And the knowledge that was found in O'Hara is the reason for their execution. Stuff like that. So it's possible, but I feel like most of the biblical imagery is with regards to these like ancient legendary trees that have important significance.
Well, I mean, there's also Bartholomew Kuma with his Bible and things like that. There's little bits here and there beyond just.
Well, yeah,
trees.
I mean like of like things like the Tree of Adam.
Yeah.
Like the Tree of Adam isn't just like, oh, this is like them talking about something from the Bible. It's a tree that actually existed.
Yeah.
So it's possible that Eden it's possible that Eden could be the ancient civilization.
Like, could it be paradise?
It could be, it could have been a utopian type thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of might still be applicable to the theory in that it's kind of like an Atlantean,
like everybody being equals, and they're not being that inherent prejudice and slavery that goes on.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I definitely think it's solid. I can't imagine it almost being something not like that.
Yeah.
At the end of One Piece, I imagined that being a profound statement. Like, it feels like it's been building towards that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like, we need equality. And it's almost something that I think kind of goes over Luffy's head, and all the same, he'll fight for it,
Yeah.
And I don't think he cares.
He doesn't care enough about it to... Because he's just like, oh, you mean you're not equal? Oh,
well, he didn't like slavery on Sabri Archipelago. Like, seeing it was hard for him. But I still feel like...
He does. It's not something that he thinks about.
There's only those, like, quiet few panels of him being introspective. But generally, when we think too much about those, what he's really doing is thinking about meat. Like, he's not... he doesn't go much deeper than that. He really doesn't.
Well, because... Actually, didn't he say something about that in slavery? Don't you just share meat? Or something weird?
I don't remember.
I feel like he said something along the lines of, like, if you want meat, just get meat.
I remember going into the Otohime flashback on Fishman Island, and so many fans were happy to see Luffy, like, quietly... He was drinking tea, I think, and he was quietly, like, listening to Jinbei. And then when we got back from the flashback, Luffy was asleep. So it's really easy to assume Luffy cares when he doesn't care very much.
Yeah.
Like, well, he does care. It's just that he has a very simple mind, you know? It's like, this is good, this is good, this is what I want to do, this is bad, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah, he doesn't need to know all of the intricacies between...
And we've seen, like, that since all the way back on Arlong Park. You know, like, he didn't care about Nami's flashback. She was his navigator, she was his friend, he wanted to help, he didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't care that, you know, about her horrible past. It didn't matter. His mind was already made up.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what's great about Luffy. It's like, Oda has stated that he wants Luffy to be a man of action. That's why Luffy randomly barges into people's houses and just jumps over fences and say, where's your food? Because, like, there's, like, a process missing that most of us have where we go, wouldn't it be polite to knock on the door? Luffy doesn't have that. And in a way, that's beautiful because not thinking makes him great. It makes him do things that we wouldn't all do. And
like challenging Crocodile and then getting stabbed through the stomach.
Yeah, several times. Yeah. He is relentless good in a way, but in a childlike way. So I think he's going to change the world for the better. I don't think he'll meet two.
And then, okay, so we got basically the basis for that theory down.
Yeah.
So now we're getting into more kind of uncertain waters with this theory. And it's basically what's going to happen at the end of the series. Like, what will happen? Like, what do you think will happen?
Dude, I don't know. It's I've thought so much about it before, and I have so many ideas for the potential for the end of One Piece, but I don't really like the idea of reuniting the continents or the islands and creating a new Pangaea. I don't like that. Symbolically, I like that, but literally, physically doing that, I don't necessarily like. People,
I like the idea of
people think they're going to use the ancient weapons somehow or something to kind of like break down the red line and create the all blue and all these things, and maybe, but. What about the casualties in doing that? Like, what if you're changing the geography of this planet? It's gonna fuck shit up really bad.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Maybe things are already fucked up, and maybe it'll make it great. Maybe the way the world government is fucking with the tides by making giant gates of justice and stuff. Maybe breaking those things down will put everything in harmony. Maybe
it could. Was this filler or was this something that was actually in the manga? Sanji getting the salt in Water 7 after what was it? Sanji getting the salt in Water 7 after the what is it? The Aqua Laguna?
Okay, for cooking and stuff?
Yeah.
I believe that was canon, but I'm not 100% sure.
Because they said that the salt was from an ocean that was a mixture of all four seas. So the All Blue already exists. If that is canon. If that's actual canon, then it's implied that All Blue is actually some place that does physically exist right now.
We'd have to reread it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure.
So it might be filler, it might not be. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like,
but what do I personally think is going to happen at the end of One Piece? I think they're going to get to Raftel. I think they're going to find the One Piece, and it's going to be the Dragon Balls, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out that the entire story was just a love letter to Dragon Ball. It was a giant fanfic, which fine, Oda.
That would be cool.
You win. You win, and what does Luffy do? I wish to be king of the pirates, and then he is. Boom. End of story. Wash your hands.
Or Sanji just wishes for a pair of panties.
I would love that. Like Pilaf has them in a cage, and he's about to wish for control of the world.
And then Sanji out of nowhere.
Yeah, and hopefully he's dressed up as a little pig, a little Nazi pig.
This needs to happen now.
It does.
Oda, you heard it. It has it. You do it.
Honestly, I have no idea. There's so many theories out there about how One Piece will end. I know I have faith in Oda. I know it's going to be great, but how will it end specifically? I'm not sure. I have plenty of visions in my head of like the final confrontation between Blackbeard and Luffy and all those types of things that are going to be part of the massive climax towards the end. But how will it really end? What is chapter the last chapter going to be like? I just couldn't say.
Okay, then let's going from that. Let's just say like, what do you think is going to happen in the final confrontation, the final battle, whatever the final arc is, the final arc?
Well, I definitely do think we're going to have a global scale war. I think that's going to happen for sure, and I think it's going to change the face of the world government forever, probably eliminate it. Probably there will be a new regime. There will be a takeover somehow. And all the positive role models that we've met that have control over islands or kingdoms, people like Iceberg and people like Vivi, they're going to play a massive part in rebuilding this world. I absolutely feel that. Do I even really know who the endgame villain is, where everybody is so sure it's Blackbeard or Akainu or the Gorosei? I don't. I'm not sure. I think those three are the likely candidates. I think Blackbeard is the definite likely candidate for the final villain for the One Piece. But does the One Piece necessarily mean the end of the series? Does Luffy getting One Piece and becoming Pirate King mean, oh, now it's done? No, not necessarily. There could be a massive arc after that. That could all happen prior to the global war, or it could be happening during.
That's actually what I was thinking. Like, yeah, what if Luffy's battle against Blackbeard for the One Piece is happening in parallel to this massive world war?
Yeah. So really, the climax would be massive. It wouldn't be like we would get Akainu. Well, you know what? I used to feel like Akainu was a real viable candidate for the last. But now we talk about Sabo.
Yeah, I feel like Sabo is going to be fighting Akainu.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I could see Luffy and him fighting, but I don't. But the real
final battle against Akainu, I believe, is going to go to Sabo.
I could see that.
Dude, that would be crazy. So I kind of feel like I kind of like this the more that I think about it. They get, like, you know, the Straw Hats or whatever, they get to Raftel or whatever, they're fighting against Blackbeard's crew. Simultaneously, the revolutionaries have started a war against the world government and the Marines. And whoever else is around in the world gets involved in the war for whatever reason. Like, I kind of feel like the ancient weapons are going to end up involved.
Oh, for sure. That. I think for sure they're going to be a part of this global war. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. Otohime, she's going to be using the Sea Kings. It's going to be massive. I think we're going to be seeing Crocodile with Pluton finally.
I don't know about that, actually. Imagine Akainu, because
possible.
Because Pluton is it's kind of based off of Pluto, who is Hades, essentially.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits with Akainu's ability.
Maybe we'll have a Nail resurface with his own.
That's what I was thinking. Enel with what is it? I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
I believe it's. Well, let's see. We had
Pluton,
Uranus.
Yeah, Uranus. Yeah. So, Enel with Uranus.
Just coming back with space pirates.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be massive, and it's going to be amazing. So, yeah, I'm excited for however many years away that is. We're 17 years into One Piece.
And we're barely into the second island.
Yeah, we're barely into the New World. We're a couple islands in. So, it's a ways away. I'm not really too worried about it at the moment. But it's going to be pretty sweet. Who do I see potentially dying that I actually care about? Well, I think Dragon could die. I think Shanks, he's very possibly dying. We've talked about this. We've talked about Straw Hats that we think could die, and Brook seems to have a theme of death around him. So
I almost feel like Blackbeard's going to end up killing Brook before they make it to Raftel.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I feel. And then they're gonna get to when they actually do make it to Raftel, Blackbeard is gonna probably end up killing Shanks.
Yeah,
or at the very least, seriously wounding him.
Yeah, that's One Piece. It's kind of hard to say. Like, there's guys like Rayleigh and, like, you know, people that, like, these mentor figures that are iconic from the generation past.
Yeah.
That their heads could be on the chopping block. I don't know. The New World is different than the first half of the Grand Line, in that I could see more people dying. At least I could see the head count being a little higher. Yeah. Where, I mean, the big names in the storyline as it is moving forward at the moment, not including flashbacks, are of course Ace and Whitebeard. But what are the names to come? There could be a lot.
There very well could be, yeah.
And the two names that me and you always go back to when it comes to Blackbeard, and names that honestly he should take because it would make him an incredible villain, would be Shanks, and I think that one's almost a given. A lot of people feel that way. And Brooke. And Brooke. He seems like the most plausible of the Straw Hats that Blackbeard would kill.
I think we also talked about this because of the way Blackbeard's ability works. It, like, literally strips Devil Fruit ability away from whoever he touches.
Yeah, so if he
touches Brooke, it kind of gives us this fear that him just simply touching Brooke might kill him.
Yeah. But, I mean, we've talked about that.
But at the same time.
But Brooke has shown the ability to release his soul and bring it back. But maybe he makes that body uninhabitable, by touching him.
Yeah, could be.
It makes me sad. We talked about it. Every time it makes me a little sad to talk about. I don't want Brooke to die. He's super lovable.
I know.
Brooke is great, man.
I don't want him to die, but I do, just to make Blackbeard super evil. But at the same time, I don't, because it's Brooke.
Well, I feel like if he does, and even if he only kind of gets there, like even if he only accomplishes some of these horrible things we think he'll do, he's still going to be like one of
the greatest villains.
The greatest shonen manga villains ever.
Yeah.
Like, people still talk about Frieza or that guy from Rurouni Kenshin with the bandages.
I forget his name, too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That guy.
or the Tagura brothers from Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, these are great shonen villains. They're fun. They're iconic. But Blackbeard would be such a motherfucker. Like, he would be so much higher in my eyes than those guys. Anyway, man, should we move on to every story ever, or every arc ever, rather?
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Finish it up. Okay, well, the last two that we picked last week were Arabasta and Twin Capes?
Twin Capes, yeah.
Twin Capes. So, which one should we talk about first? Twin Capes, just get out of the way.
To be completely honest, I forgot to read it.
Well, I could talk about it a little bit.
I'll let you talk about it a little bit. I just remember Laboon. Luffy rips off the mast of the Mary and stabs it into.
Okay, well, that was pretty much it. That was Twin Capes. So where are we gonna? Well, it's funny. Before we do these podcasts, usually we kind of skim through the arcs just to kind of refresh ourselves. Neither of us did that with Twin Capes. Pull up the list and let's figure out. Okay, I'll talk about it for a little while you're pulling up the list.
Okay.
Twin Capes is it is an important arc in the sense that it is our first arc into the Grand Line. We meet Crocus, who was a member of the Roger crew. He was the doctor. We meet Laboon, who is our first island whale that we meet, and obviously he has an emphatic return later on as emotionally, especially in a flashback, as Brooke's companion and a big part of it. Well, really his dream, what he needs to accomplish. To fulfill his dream. So Laboon is incredibly important. Also, we meet Vivi in this arc, and we are introduced to the concept of the Baroque works. Maybe that isn't quite as fleshed out as it is in the very next arc, which is Whiskey Peak, but we are introduced to our first Baroque works agents, which is Vivi and her companion, the guy with the bats. I don't remember his name.
Igaram? Oh wait, no.
Not
Mr. 4 or whatever. No, not 11. 10? 10 or 11.
I think it was 9, actually.
Was it 9?
I think it's Mr.
I don't know. Nobody cares about him.
Not really, no. Okay, so tentatively Mr. 9 and Vivi, we're introduced to them. I forget her code name for Baroque Works, but it doesn't really matter. And of course, she's incredibly important to the story for the next 11 volumes, which is years in real time. And she's going to play a massive part in the series as it goes on, because her father's probably dying, and she's going to take over the throne at Arabasta, and she's going to matter a lot. So, is this arc important? It's very important. Is it good? It's fine. It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun. It's a transitional little arc.
That was something that we brought up with the whole thing with the mast or whatever, Luffy breaking off the mast. It almost doesn't fit his character because they care so much about the Mary. Yeah,
that was always something I thought was strange. But
it also fits his character just because it was super impulsive.
Exactly, yes. And honestly, my ex-girlfriend was reading the series recently, and she thought it was really cute the way Luffy did what he did to help Laboon. Like, she really thought that was endearing. So, props to Luffy. He has a little bit of fun development in this arc. I love the gag where they go inside Laboon and they think it's daytime. They think it's outside because Crocus painted the inside of Laboon.
It's kind of surreal.
Yeah, it is surreal. It's like a surreal One Piece moment. David Lynch directed that scene. And anyway, it's a fun arc. I think me and Robert are both in total agreement. It's a fun, solid little arc, but it's not exceptional enough to place it particularly high on this list. It's fun for what it is. So read off our arc so far.
Our current list is the Paramount War, followed by Drum Island, followed by Jaya, the Barati, Amazon Lily, Little Garden, and Whiskey Peak. Do you feel it is better than Little Garden?
No, that's actually, I was going to say Whiskey Peak. Like, where do you think it goes above or below Whiskey Peak? I
feel like it goes above. Just because I kind of agree that the whole thing with Laboon was a lot more endearing. It had it has more of a charm.
We had Zoro and Luffy fight. We had Zoro take on 100 different bounty hunters.
We also had Luffy knock out 50,000 soldiers in, 10 seconds.
That's actually kind of not as cool as
Fishman Island.
As hand-to-hand combat taking out 100 bounty hunters. That was really cool. I love that. To me, these arcs are par, and I will defer to you if you prefer one over the other. Because to me,
I kind of prefer Twin Capes over, just because I like Laboon a lot.
That's fine. I'm fine with it. To me, they're both fun arcs, and one can be placed above the other very easily. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Okay, so Whiskey Peak's still at the bottom. Twin Capes very close to the bottom.
Yep.
That's fine. It really is.
Poor Twin Capes. And now on to the main event.
The big bitch. The massive motherfucker. Volumes, I think, 18 to 23. Maybe 17. I'm not sure. Arabasta.
Yeah.
Sir Crocodile. The Baroque Works. Daz Bones. Bon Clay.
Bone.
This is Double Finger. This is a fantastic arc that me and Robert are both simultaneously so tired and sick of. It's one of One Piece's best arcs, and we both feel like we've spent so much time there and talked so much about it that neither one of us love it as much as we should, and therefore it might not get the love it deserves on this list, but it's one of the best. It absolutely is, and at that point in the series,
we'll give it we'll try to give it the credit that it deserves. We'll just say that.
I honestly feel like if we're being objective, but this isn't an objective list, but if we are being objective, it might be number one right now. It might deserve to be ahead of the Paramount War, but I don't think we're going to put it there. I think we both enjoy the Paramount War too much.
I'm going to have to say, just about this arc in general, it does Revolution a lot better than Magi.
Well, fuck I mean, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yes, it beats Magi.
Because I look at...
And I love Koza. I love that Koza is a revolutionary figure who... he's got a great look, and he's got a beautiful backstory with Vivi, but he's not particularly powerful. He's just a guy. I mean, he's got good resilience. He gets shot several times and keeps going. But he doesn't ever show a lot of strength, really.
Right.
So, there's a lot of good about this arc. But for whatever reason, I think we're both in the same boat, that we've read it too many times, we've seen the movie, we've watched the anime, It's just kind of let's move on. A little bit.
That's kind of how it feels a little bit.
But honestly, my last read-through of it, I enjoyed it a lot, because my expectations were kind of low for enjoyment, and I really
I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit right now, too. I'm halfway through again.
Is Jaya our number 2?
Let me double check. Jaya is... Yes, it's our number 3.
Okay, Drum?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we have to look. Top 3. I feel like it has to go somewhere in there. I think this list is subjective, but we have to add objectivity to it also.
Yeah.
And in that sense, there's no way it's below those 3.
Right.
I mean, Drum is an emotional favorite for me in a lot of ways. But is it as good as Arabasta? Is it as important? Does it do as many things right? Maybe not. It's also much smaller.
Yeah.
Drum it's a small, perfect little arc. Arabasta is longer. I think its lows are much lower than Drum's lows, but Drum's much shorter. Much shorter.
True.
We're introduced to Ace fully.
Completely, he passed out. They think he ate a desert strawberry.
We see him destroy 5 Baroque Works ships when he's leaving Arabasta.
Just with a single punch.
Awesome. My love for Mihawk in the Barati arc, I have a similar love for Ace's appearance during the Arabasta saga, because he so clearly is powerful enough to make a difference in this arc.
Oh, that's something that I wanted to point out, because I was reading through, and I did not realize this, but Oda was alluding to the New World in this arc, as far back as this arc. Because when we're in East Blue, we get all these hints about the Grand Line being this great ocean, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we have a hint as to the New World here. What was it that he said? Oh, if it wasn't for his basically he said if it wasn't for his hunt for Blackbeard, he wouldn't be back here at this part of the sea.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of like I went backwards.
Yes.
From where I was. Yeah.
So he was basically way further ahead of them at some point before the events at Alabasta.
There's a weird allusion to the idea of the New World all the way back. I think it's chapter 69. Luffy says something like, Zeph says that some people, for some people, the Grand Line is paradise. And that's alluding to the people from the New World.
People
who are fluent in Japanese apparently say that this is a contextual problem. Like it's not paradise in the same way that they use paradise later on in the series. So just because the translation is similar doesn't necessarily mean that paradise for the first half of the Grand Line and the paradise that Zeph was referring to are the one and the same. But if they are related, then that's pretty interesting. That's a nod to the New World all the way back in chapter 69.
Yeah.
And again, from what I've heard on the forums, people say that's not necessarily the case, but it could.
It almost feels like if they were referring to it as paradise back then, they might have been referring to it in kind of the romantic sense.
Yeah.
Whereas
which really is what One Piece is all about.
Yeah. Whereas later on, it's referred to as paradise in the kind of darker sense.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'd have to actually learn Japanese.
Okay, so Arabasta, give me some of your favorite things, and then I'll give you some of mine, and then we'll go over some of our not so favorite things, and then we'll try to figure out where this sits. Because this is a difficult arc, I think, for us.
That mystery powder is weird.
So the dance powder, the powder that...
Yeah, the mystery powder. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. You know what? That gag works so much better in Japanese. Like when I watched the fan subs, it was hilarious. Viz does not do a good job with that.
They don't at all.
No, they butcher that joke really bad. But it's hilarious when I was watching the fan subs on the anime. I love that Luffy just dismisses anything as just mystery. Yeah. It's great. Like when Nami's trying to explain the tides going to Fishman Island. Mystery tides. And then Usopp's like, oh, simpletons. He's like, and she explains further, and he's like, yes, mystery tides.
Tries to listen, does the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're kind of shown in depth how much Sanji and Zoro hate each other.
Yeah.
I kind of like that a little bit.
The awakening of Haki for Zoro.
Yeah.
Yeah, his observation Haki.
That's probably my favorite scene in the entire arc.
Well, that whole Daz Bones fight I love.
Yeah.
It's like if I was ranking top 5 one-on-one fights in the whole series, I'm almost certain the Daz Bones Zoro fight would still make it. It's always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's really up there. But I think if I'm looking at just if I was taking one particular scene, it's that part where he kind of awakens his Haki.
Yeah.
And because it's such a powerful moment.
I like the flashback where his swords instructor, his master couldn't cut the piece of paper.
Yeah, he's just like, God.
My most recent read through, I realized how much I enjoyed that Bon Clay Sanji fight. I think that's a really fun fight. I think I never really quite appreciated it until recently. It's a good fight. It's a lot of fun.
I really liked that fight a lot.
Yeah. I will never, ever, ever like the Nami Miss Doublefinger fight. That is one of my least favorite one-on-one fights in the whole series.
It's very much more of a gag fight than anything.
I just don't. It's 2 chapters or so, a little over 2 chapters. I just have never enjoyed that fight.
I'm gonna have to agree with your sentiment that I don't like the change in her design.
And Miss Doublefingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she was introduced...
It's a very jarring change.
I think she's one of the prettiest girl characters in the series when she's introduced, and then Oda just fucking destroys her in that fight. He makes her tits, pointy. She
just becomes, super spiky.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, it's jarring. I just hate everything about that fight. I don't like that Nami basically runs away until she finally beats her. I don't like it. It's a bad fight. It's easily a low point for me for the Arabasta saga.
It does kind of show how weak the non-monsters are, though.
What do you mean? Oh, aside from the monster trio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it kind of shows how weak Nami is compared to Usopp, even.
Well, I didn't
Usopp goes through and he, breaks every bone in his body.
Yeah, he, smashes his skull.
Yeah.
And he keeps going. That's a good fight. That Chopper Usopp fight, where they fight Mr. Four and Miss, I think it's Merry Christmas, the mole girl. That's a really good fight. That's a fun fight. I've always enjoyed that fight. That dog was a weird anomaly for a long time.
That was was weird. And then we got Funkfried,
the dog cannon,
Elephant Sword,
the dog cannon that shoots baseballs that explode.
Yeah,
that was different, but not in a bad way. In a really fun, zany way. But just it didn't make a lot of contextual sense with the One Piece world.
Right.
But yeah, then Funkfried and all that.
Funkfried's awesome.
Yeah. So
Funkfried for knocking him up.
So I love that fight. I love a lot of those fights. I love that when Vivi says to go north, Zoro goes up. I think there's a lot of good about the Arabasta saga. It's just, for whatever reason, the actual physical place of Arabasta,
it's kind of a bland place.
The Egyptian setting.
It's kind of a dry setting.
It's about
no pun intended.
It's about 5 volumes, and we spend about 7 or 8 volumes getting there. I just feel like I've spent too much time there at this point.
We spend a lot of time just in sand.
And Crocodile is undeniably maybe the defining One Piece villain in the entire series still. Like, he's undeniably one of the best. You could play...
You say more so than Doflamingo.
I think we need to wait for Dressrosa to finish to really objectively scale where Doflamingo deserves.
And would you say more so than Blackbeard?
I think we need to wait for the series to end. Like, odds are very good. Blackbeard will take the mantle from absolutely everybody by the end of the series. But at this point, you'd be crazy to put Crocodile below 2 or 3. You know, if you're a huge Enel guy, if you're a huge...
I loved Enel as a villain.
Yeah, and if you're a huge, I don't know, Gecko Moria guy or a huge Doflamingo guy, maybe you could put Crocodile at 2 or 3. But if any lower than that, you're fucking crazy. He's undeniably one of the best villains in the series.
He's one of the best.
And in my view, the best still. The best. So that's a huge mark in the positive box for Arabasta. So where are we placing this? Because the more I think about it, the more I kind of think it deserves to be number 1, and I think we shouldn't go lower than 2.
I honestly don't know.
Well, what's a negative for you? I loved I think his name is Toto, the fat guy from...
I love Toto.
Yeah. The guy who was once fat and then shriveled old man, and he gives Luffy the water. I love that Luffy loses twice, and then nobody mentions this, but he would have been killed on the 3rd encounter with Crocodile had it not been for Robin and her antidote. So I love... Crocodile's fantastic. He kills Luffy 3 times, essentially. And if it wasn't for hubris, he would have killed him on the first one. He would have killed him dead. So, a lot of good about this arc.
A lot of good, yeah. But Paramount War has that...
It also has Crocodile.
It also has Crocodile. And
but much more in the anti-hero role than a villain role. Pure, flat-out, juicy, crazy Bond villain role.
Right. And it also has that incredibly emotional scene at the end
with
Ace.
Yeah, granted, yes. I think. Well, I mean, to be fair, the send-off in Arabasta is as iconic as any.
It is very iconic.
The raising of the forearms with the X's on it. You can't say goodbye to Vivi, but that's how you say goodbye. That was beautiful.
That was very beautiful.
Maybe not as touching or powerful as Ace's death, because of course.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to have to give it to the Paramount War just because of how powerful Ace's death was. Because the events in Alabasta, like, they still remember Vivi, that, like, there's still, like, some effects to it, but the effect of Ace's death
that will resonate through the series.
That's affected Luffy all the way up until now.
And
it's even affecting characters still. It's affecting Sabo.
After Vivi left, it was like 2 chapters maybe of the crew going like, oh, we're sad, but then Robin was there, and they kind of got... Look, I think if this was a little bit more of an objective list, we would have to fight for Arabasta being number 1. Like, I think if we're trying to be objective as far as storytelling goes, as far as how revolutionary it was to the One Piece world and canon at that point, and how it kind of set the precedent and set the pattern for later chapters and volumes and series and arcs to come, this is the best arc we've gotten to. But it's not a fucking objective list. This is a subjective list, at least to some extent, and we both like the Paramount War a little bit more right now. So I think...
I'm just going to have to say that Paramount War beats it, but not necessarily because Alabasta is bad, but just because I feel like when I read the Paramount War the first time and when I read Alabasta the first time, Paramount War left much more of an emotional impact at the end. Whereas Alabasta, it left an impact, but it wasn't as great.
What I think of sort of is, I think the really high highs and the really low lows, I think the highs are comparable in terms of both fun and emotional impact. I think the lows, it looks worse for Arabasta. There are parts where it drags. There are parts where it isn't as fun to read. There are parts that it doesn't read as well on the second or third or fourth reading. There are less of those in the Paramount War because it's much leaner. It's only 2.5 volumes. It's like half the length. So the lows really aren't there.
Right.
Where there are some more lows in Arabasta, and I think that might drag it down a little bit.
I feel like it would be like if this were Impel Down, if we were comparing it to Impel Down, like hands down, I think that I would have to give it to Alabasta.
Yeah, I agree.
But since we're talking about the Paramount War, and since it's such an important arc, I think we're gonna have to give it to Paramount War. But I will give you that it's better than Drum.
I think deep down, I've reread Drum more. I think it might be. I like it more, but that's where this list has to be both objective and subjective. Subjectively, Arabasta means more in every way than Drum. It's the arc that deserves to be ahead of it. So number 2, is that where we're placing it?
I'm gonna put it number 2.
I think we are in agreement. I'm happy with that.
So, all right,
cool.
Time to draw.
Time to draw for next week. If we get a big arc, we'll just do 1. Whatever. We've been doing pretty good doing 2 lately. Maybe we should just stick with 2. Here, we'll each grab one.
All right.
I got one. It is Arlong Park.
I got... That shouldn't be in there. I got, not Drum. Rogue Town.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
This will probably pad out the middle of the list a little bit more. So
Want to grab one more?
You know, these are both mid-size arcs. I think we could probably do one more. So far we have Arlong Park, Rogue Town. Go ahead.
And if we're able to get to it as well next week... and if we're able to get to it next week... God damn it. If we're able to get to it again next week... This one. Sabri Archipelago.
Ooh.
The first one, not the second one.
Fun.
So, if we're able to get to it.
3 arcs of similar length and varying quality. Sabri Archipelago, Arlong Park, and was it Rogue Town?
Yeah, Rogue Town.
Those are all interesting arcs. I think Arlong Park and Sabri Archipelago are gonna challenge for the higher spots, and Rogue Town will probably challenge for a more middle, lower spot.
It'll probably be middle of the road.
Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, that's fascinating.
Alrighty, everybody. I think that's it.
That'll pad out the list quite a bit.
Yeah, actually. We have what? I believe our current list has 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. We have about 9 arcs there, so 3 more add to that, 12. That's a decent list.
Yeah, and we've been doing this for a long time, so whenever we get through with the arcs, we'll move on to other things. Devil Fruits or Straw Hats or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely probably should go over some of the Devil Fruits.
Yeah.
If not just to get a better understanding of some of them.
I honestly wanted to talk about Guardians a little bit, but we're already at the end of this. Maybe we'll just get to it next week or something. And it's fucking, we're a little ways in. Yeah. It's cool. It doesn't really have
I don't know. Guardians was awesome, though.
It was fucking awesome, wasn't it?
It was pretty awesome.
Alright, we don't have to get into it, but you guys should totally go see Guardians. I'm sure you have watched it at this point.
If you guys haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, watch it.
Yeah.
Because I said so.
I gotta get ready for a date. So, you bitches take care, you're lovely and beautiful, and maybe, just maybe, I won't be sick for next week and we'll actually do this shit.
Right.
We love you, you take care, you write us on Facebook, you like, comment, subscribe, all that shit.
Do all that stuff.
You take care. I'm Alex.
And I'm Robert.
And we're fucking out, kids. Laters.